It must be the property of the young, not the people, same age or same age, because that's the future of a property. It creates high expectations for the property. It has to meet the needs of young people. Young people prioritize the things that cost them. They only remember each is that the multiplier. They've changed their financial position. They look at the price of gold. Changes in the last 8 years. There's no movement. Of course, it's not attractive. It's the young people who decide what the price trend is. The long-term trend. Hi, Yen. In the days before, you also said you're an investor. The most important thing is to choose the right property regularly with your personal finances. That's good. Today, I will talk more about the property. The first thing you should ask me is, what do you define as an asset? And you've decided between an asset to speculate and a property for long distance. How is it different? Well, first of all, I think AI has to know because I will accumulate wealth throughout my life, from investment properties to health-related properties. Experience of life. It's the process of accumulating wealth. Anyone who wants to enjoy that prosperity then will find the right assets to accumulate. All these concepts of property, I have to understand. If with that traditional property gold, then real estate, gold stock. It's called hoarded property, not created. Increased value of regular cash flows. With real estate, there's speculative real estate investment generating cash flow. The same goes for stocks that have growth speculation. And then the stock is about creating cash flow. All the properties. In the old tradition, it creates material wealth in the process that we accumulate. And then it started when there was the internet, and especially, it's been 5 years since the rise of YouTube. Then the development of AI. The digital assets it's formed. For example, my YouTube channel. The Facebook pages have value. Many followers also make a channel to sell. TikTok is in store. The Shopee shop are all the things that people build and create value for. In the development of the channel, it's one of the new properties. But those properties are, it has a very high displacement. I can work anywhere. And after that, we started to have assets. It's called an online course. The book's online. It may not be published in a paper book, but people are willing to sell a book online. With what content can? From people's experience and also from AI. CBT chat on one can write a book. Now it's not that hard. Then, new assets crypto market. It's called a digital asset. Just invested hoarded. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's an NFT application. For example, there's a need to quickly digitize US government has been applied. Bonds. These are increasingly being applied to the market. The main thing in this crypto market is, there's a Bitcoin that represents something, like gold. But it's more than just mobility. Young people who like to move are more favored when new. To hear the terms traditional property, we've been pretty familiar. And there's a certain kind of trust. When you mention that digital asset, it's been 2 years and I'm starting to believe it. But before that, I saw it had very risky. People often say that chickens eat phantom. A lot of bankruptcy. You see, digital assets like this, the NFT, why do you believe it will be the future? What's the core of it? That people should know early and find out early. What does NFT show most clearly? What can't be replaced? I have a picture. For example, NFT turns that picture. It's just, there is only one. When you own that NFT, you can prove it. That picture is real, even if it's your brother's. I don't know any art about but painting. Look at the picture. Not sure if it's real or fake. There's a partner. Or the confirmation of the original will. NFT turned the picture. And it's recognized as a real picture. Absolutely. That painting you can store in a warehouse. What in the world? With high safety level. Then I can't move the picture. You can buy it and resell it because it's conservation. But if you use the NFT to do that, the owner doesn't need to see the painting. But people know they own the painting through the NFT, and people can buy and resell. For the investment process, if it's connected to everyday life, it's kind of like a distant piece of land. I'm going to buy a red book. Right, that's right, I guess. But what's more is that it's not fake. There is no second NFT. It's exactly the same, and the red book you can fake. A lot of them. This case in Vietnam has been faked. The red book, they use embryos. It's the same as the real red book. They fake the NFT. For example, because it has the technology. The block is in the back. That's right. The technology. It's functional. That's the only advantage of technology. What the internet brings. I saw something you mentioned. It's an irreplaceable quality. It's a good kind of property. It is worth investing in. It must also be irreplaceable. Right. In addition to the irreplaceable, I will prioritize any other property of a kind that you invest. One is irreplaceable, cannot be replaced. It means you can't produce more property. It also requires scarcity. It's rare that it has the appeal of price increases, except for that rare thing. That portability is so important. The third is the nature that owns the property. You can use one of your personal possessions. It's called your private key, that no AI can interfere with. For example, any country like China, that they ban the crypto. They just forbid me to trade that, or just pay for it. No government can forbid you to store that. That's your personal privacy, and I store and I can pay. When that government, it recognizes what's called legalization. It's good for the government when people can manage, because actually the manager about the crypto market, then you know that. Now Vietnam is also working on that, to manage the crypto market, to avoid money laundering from abroad. People owning crypto through Vietnam, but maybe they're foreigners. People use Vietnamese VPNs so that you own crypto. I will be taxed 7 times. That's what management is good for. That's tax and know collection. The flow of foreign currency. Are they being transferred abroad? It's like you said, a property. Then scarcity is also important. Based on that, I can tell. The property, which is essentially cheating on speculation, gives birth to a lot, such as this koi or the junk stock. This continuous extra release or land mutation. It's very easy to grow a seed. People can rely on it to know. Scam projects, right, exactly. The first is like that. The second is all of them. Koi are all formed at one point. It's developed by a project by a group of people, or by some lab. People invest in it and they grow. Then of course the advantage one has to give them when they grow out. With the Bitcoin organization Satoshi, or Satoshi personally, then development is that people are community oriented. People don't want their own personal property. It's a different form of development. Only with Bitcoin is one thing that people develop from the community, so personal ownership in Bitcoin, it is still the highest. And it's only going down because of the financial institutions. There's a gradual collection and legalization plan. When ET funds are companies like Trez and Metaplanet, people started to collect things. Or like a lot of companies, they are not listed on the US market. People don't have to report these things. Maybe people are quietly gathering. The ownership rate of the fish, it's getting smaller and smaller. Now it's just over 60%. It's personal property, the organizations that it's captured in part. And before, when it's born, it's almost 100%. What are the projects you don't invest in? Because it's a personal interest in it. The interest group is big. That's right. The first is that there's a large interest group. The second is that the community is big enough. They have to sell the top. You need to collect the user. People know about these projects. As for the utility of the project, it's not clear that I need time to know. That project looks like it's working. To what extent into reality? I don't see much now. Maybe it's only used in some games. Block above, there's a real-world application called Ethereum. Is application to NFT is this one these NFT. Properties. NFT these US government bonds. Some companies are now using it. It could be an app. Through this project, Ethereum project or Solana project. It depends on the security and what the organization wants. How cheap is it? The first is if it's a coin. It's seen as a business. I'll have to prioritize the application. The competitive advantage. Right. It's going to have a huge breakthrough. If that, the practical application to the market is called tradition and the everyday life. But in terms of property, I prefer Bitcoin. It's about the nature of a property. It's sustainable over time, except for this rare thing. Bring value to the community. What else do you prioritize? The first is security. Scarcity of community acceptance. The third is to get all the benefits of the participants. For example, digging. Confirmation of transactions. They also want to validate and protect the network and the investment fund. What do they also want to raise money to invest in? Bitcoin is like the Bitcoin app. Raise money. They eat the money management fee. Then what are the governments? They see the transaction. Bitcoin, if you can manage it, there is a lot of tax on the investor side. I will benefit if my faith grows. Price increase over time. It's just another element of a good property. It's the harmony of interests of those who join the property. Right, exactly, you harmonize the benefits. It's shown by the fact that through cycles, it's called a market crash. Then the price is still above the old peak. The community is growing. It's about showing what it harmonizes with. The benefit means the most practical, that I can prove it's harmoniously beneficial. Helpful or not, is that it goes through 2 or 3 crisis cycles. It still exists. It doesn't always have a discount, does it? That's right. The discount is only temporary, because actually, the discount is as if I join to invest in securities. That's what the psychology of the market is. Market review. A lot of people are fuming. That's going to make the price go up a lot. Everyone involved in it is scared. Is that it's going into a discount cycle? And even very steep discounts. When to join? In this crypto market, initially, there were a lot of small investors. So the thing that reduces the price in a very intense discount cycle, it can be reduced to 80 or even 90% compared to the top of the price. As you say, a property and discount cycle, but it keeps the bottom higher than the bottom. It's also about people who have more faith. Large organization. If it has faith, it's priced in the price range. Right. That is, people are waiting with market valuation. People who understand and have faith. People will also buy in the area. That's the nature of a property. I also appreciate the fact that the trend of the property. After that, people feel that they are increasingly attracted. It must be property of the young, not the people. Same age, because that's the future of a property. That's what it creates. Set high expectations for the property. It has to meet the needs of young people. Young people are on social media a lot. People will be exposed a lot with the information of the properties on social media. The greater the volatility, the more it's spread on social media, there may be builders. It also makes big moves and full coverage of the young people. While the world like us, there's very little idea of property on social media. It's also very demanding. But for young people, it's the first. They're exposed to a lot of movement. Young people prioritize the things that cost them. They only remember each one. Is that the multiplier They've changed their financial position. They look at the price of gold. Changes in the last 8 years. There's no movement. Of course, it's not attractive. It's the young people who decide what the price trend is. The long-term trend. Where is the psychology? Then the creator, or big organizations. It's going to be based on psychology. Let them pay the price for the images. Give the media. To get to the people, there's a need for speculation. For example, I think it was when I first learned about the crypto market. When I found out, I knew Bitcoin was. But that I will have a trend. I will read more and see. Because that's what I find more life-changing. But after going through a lot of time in the market when we trade into a speculative asset class, the trend is that we keep going back about the starting line. It's a lot. It causes fatigue. I remember your wife telling me one thing. Young people should prioritize any money. It's very different from what I used to be. Imagine that you have to call it enthusiasm. My passion must be very risky. Turn your pants back. Then that risk-taking thing pulled me back to 55. At my young age, it's not as fast as I see thought. The trend of young people as I am Pay more attention to what the property is about. Number as a channel. YouTube sells this online. Or investment will also pay attention. Bitcoin is more than gold and real estate. If my parents give me the land, I will sell and I'll buy the Bitcoin property. There's one thing you say that's great, is that young people will decide the long-term trend. The increase in the price of a new asset. I have known Bitcoin for a long time now, but it wasn't until 2019 that I joined. Before that, I didn't know much. I actually don't know much about. Bitcoin is also about quartz. I am looking for a property. You find out very quickly. Then I actually got through a channel that I felt was it's good for me, and I find out. I don't look at the technological side, I look at the financial side. Because of the history that when Bitcoin was born, Satoshi created it in 2008. When there is a crisis, and his purpose is that people want to create financial freedom to combat what's called the flood of money. The governments of the world, in particular, with a money pump speed of 2.006, pump out that's about $7 trillion at the time. Then by the last 2 years, it's almost $22,000 billion. That's a speed called 25. It's superior to a whole process from 1900 to the 7 until to 006. That's 25. And the dollar's devaluation compared to the beginnings. It's already grown. It's already 7,000 billion. That's a huge rate of depreciation. Creating Bitcoin with the purpose of community against inflation. Find the freedom. What's more important is its transparency. That's every transaction there on the network. AI can also know. Move from here this address to the Kia address. then everyone knows. I think a lot of people like me are wondering. After that, you invest FPT 50 and then there's the fairy tale case. It's about 4 years that dividend money comes from the stock. You've achieved financial freedom. But why are you not safe? In your area of understanding, it's like a coffee shop that only invests in You're making good money from evidence. Why are you still participating? Bitcoin. It's just like young people. You find freedom in that product. It doesn't have AI to manage it, but it's still growing over several cycles. But still growing. It shows from the technical growth. The community is growing. It's getting bigger. You find out raw. You can connect in. That's how you see the world of youth. Young people like to move, like to experience. There must be a property. Let people move with you. People want to experience it somewhere else. Property that people have to store for themselves. These assets can move across borders. Then that's what young people's favorite. People can switch anywhere. You've always wanted to be the law. If there's a legal corridor in the law, your investment is also safer, because a lot of you have lost money in this market just by not understanding. From the money transfer, there are links that it creates. The trick up there can be, it's the very same address because of carelessness. So that's what the government does. It creates wealth. Output in Vietnam. To be administered. It's also an advantage. I am also willing to pay taxes in accordance with the criteria of the state. But you said, you prioritize movement with freedom. I see the world of young people like that. If young people are like that, I have to see the property to suit young people. The big change is that I accept it, because by that time, you were already capable What of about new people? When entering the market, this cryptocurrency has no governance. A property must have a future. I accept the change. I will manage very well. The opportunity, it's a lot. It's a property that's obvious. Everything is clearly recognized, everything. There's no hesitation. Its potential is not great. Even if you do this content, I know there's going to be a lot of controversy because they are themselves. Billionaires in the world are still arguing. There are schools where it's very exclusive. There are also schools. They are very accepting and eager to grow. Typical in the world with boo permission. Your definition of wealth is to have cash flow. They don't invest in gold. Bitcoin is still banned today. People like Michael Saylor, for example, very supportive, and always spread the right ideas. Satoshi about Bitcoin. That is, you define Bitcoin is an economic energy storage. To store the currency to avoid devaluation. That conflict is inevitable. I want to see it all too. Just a market man. When the market accepts, the market doesn't know right, but it creates growth through each cycle. It shows that it's right. The future is too far away. I don't know, but it's expressed through to be a cycle. I have to pay full attention. Can't be ignored. It's the one that makes the 7-stroke move so big. The opportunity to manage. This is an investment channel worth investing in. It can change the position of young people. It's also a coin. To create an appeal for young people. It means you insist. That's a good account. But what comes with it is governance. That's right. Management is the most important thing. In the past, what I have a tendency to do when I first get I'm going to see an AI that analyzes a good asset. I feel reasonable and logical. I usually have a tendency. I have the money. I bought it all, including my savings. If you have money, you will buy it all. And I think a lot of people are doing that right now. So, I'm going to have to emphasize in this conversation. That's what happens when you donate Bitcoin. Like you have a financial backup. How much time? Generally speaking, you have to attend finance every room for me, from 2 to about 5 years, depending on when you feel the opportunity is great. Always have a long-term backup, because you also have a family. Your parents don't either. Salary is all about one department. So, it's the financial. I have to be prepared for that. Suddenly something happened, but I'll prioritize the project. Room for the big opportunity. It's not a backup. Let me calculate the uncertainty. It's just something that happens, but the main backup of that financial thing. I'm a backup for the black swans. It presents great opportunities. In the process, I followed it. That's when I have to have money. Yes, I've been saving money for the family. It's 2 to 5 years. Not many people today. Just say BA to 6 months that you back up every year. Why is it 2 to 5 years? I think it's very simple that you know the economic cycle. It lasted for 5 years. I don't know. You've been through 2009 to number 13. It's a very long process. If I don't have backup, then I was in a situation like that. It's very painful and disoriented. That backup is also personal to you. Be more careful about what happens if something happens. I can see the bottom. Maybe it's longer. I can still survive, if I can. If you haven't, I think it's a 6-month backup. People still say, you approach it more cautiously. It means that if you're in a difficult economic cycle, business is difficult. It can take 5 years before it turns around. Back. I would have lived well within 5 years. I have money to buy cheap property. If you live well in the meantime, you will find a cheap property or reasonable prices and growth. But if you don't, I have to worry about what is called money. It's definitely my thought. It's also not coherent in its own thinking. Apart from the money that comes from your stock, you eat dividends. There are stocks that have been delisted. You're still eating dividends. Yes. Many people come to the market, find properties where it increases, but the evidence you're targeting the companies. But the delisting guy still gives you cash flow. The first is bringing in cash. The second is that it's still growing, and it's a reason to delist. Somehow it has to make sense. For example, it's just that I saw it unlisted because the number of shareholders is not up to standard anymore. For 100 shareholders, the listing condition is no longer. So the organizations that are in there, especially if there is a company on the floor, already owns more than 60% of it. I believe in that part. So the decision is to allocate some capital to it as an investment product. It means that the company is guaranteed. It's called benefit harmony. Right, because there are many companies. The property is very stable. But it is not for small shareholders participating. That money can be the management, as you say, is their management. The board doesn't split the money. They left it all behind. For example, salary or bonuses. It's not feeding employees. The small shareholders. That's right. The dishonest leadership, and they don't balance the interests. If a development company you think is important, above all, it must harmonize the interests of shareholders. Benefits of the workers' board. And for the benefit of society, that is, when you invest, you can see this benefit, this good property, exclusive competitive advantage. I am determined. It's always possible to allocate some capital, and I leave forever. From there it leads to an advantage. Bitcoin, as you say, it doesn't depend on people. It doesn't depend on administration. When I contacted him, I started to understand more about psychology. I believe in myself less and less, because I used to think I usually act by reason. But after you donate, it's the psyche to decide more about your actions. The more I get, little confidence in yourself, in their actions. But sometimes we have to have cross-control. For example, you must donate to this. There must be everyone to have my own greed rise up. There are other brothers who can hold themselves. That's why there's got to be attribution principle. It's a distribution strategy from the beginning. No more being led by the market. The rate of capital allocation. My principle is that a stock is only 20%. Is the same, for example. It shouldn't be over. I think young people have the same tendency to tinker. I used to write a lot 3 years ago. You're always in. After I realized it was my review. When we move forward, it is the fastest. Young people like you like to move fast. But going backwards, because it's a percentage. From there is the thing. But as you say, the most important thing in investing is not to go backwards. What do you think about the job? It is a property. It takes steps back in. When we take a step back, we do it. After that, I have a step further. Around the world of that. It's still the manager. I mean, how do you allocate your capital? At a reasonable level. When I decided in my account there was only about 5 shares, for example. Because actually now, for you, the stock ratio will be very low. I'll give you 3 to 5 shares. In a moment. That scale has to be the right strategy. For example, each share is only 20%. When there's this 50% loss in there, for a particular stock, it's a 10% loss. Your total assets, when there is a possibility to remove it. But let me in. Of course, when the profit will be huge. If you lose 50% of your wealth, you lose 50% of your wealth. To get it back, you have to multiply. I'm 100% back to the old level. It's harder than the speed of falling. It's always faster than the speed up. In an asset cycle, there's growth. This creates a peak of recession and accumulation. It's growing in the cycle. And I discovered that property. But it's growing at every turn. It's your tendency. How much capital would you invest in it? If I know it's going to go up, continue to increase that the property when it has created the top. It feels like the top. Of course I have to withdraw. Lower the cost is that I can take profits at such a level of satisfaction. That's the feeling. And then it goes up. I can follow the plan. And if it doesn't feel right, it's not that I'm sorry I bought it back. It's a price increase. Whether I'm satisfied or not, you have to feel right for you or not. That's the rate at which the property's going up. It has a history of price increases, higher or not. Or the history of price increases. Is it superior to the previous cycle? Usually, when the property is large, the bigger the capital, the rate at which it's going to go up is not getting stronger. A company, then it must have a very exhilarating cycle. It's what creates growth, the culmination of a stock. But an asset like Bitcoin or gold, the speed of price increases. I think it's going to get smaller and smaller because the capitalization is too big. Can be a reference? You or someone. I know the stock market is going up. Maybe 12 months. But it's been growing for 6 months, probably another 6 months of growth. And now I have $1 billion. And I found out that this property is very good. What percentage should you invest? That's $1 billion on the property. It's very detailed. I'm very specific. That distribution. It still depends on your personality, the strength of my endurance. When you feel it's an asset or a stock in a state of risk, then you're going to allocate very. If I don't manage, I can treat it or I still want it. To go follow it, you have to know how high your expectations are. I can't go outside of reality. A stock it can't. Far beyond the market, especially at a time like this. Let it be. Separate the stock from the market is not too much. It's not like the beginning anymore. The early days were possible. People don't know about businesses like that, or the capital scale of businesses like that. It's called the capitalization of the business. The opportunity to grow is great. Now the businesses, if you know, on the floor, its business situation, or its product, it's all revealed. There is nothing special, so that from small capital and products. Special characteristics create resilience for businesses to be more. So, let's say you have $1 billion. The principle is to divide 5 shares. The stock only invests about 200 million. The market has been rising for about 6 months. It didn't get very hot, but it only got 16 months. I should only invest a maximum of 100 million. That stock is another 100 million. That's right. Generally speaking, it's your ability to observe the market. You have to understand the character of the stock. You have to assess everything. The whole point of the business is what that potential is. Because of the price increase. Stocks are the hope of the future. There's hope in such an industry. It's worth expecting. Is it an industry? To disrupt the technology industry. These products create what's called change. The human life is not. Is that hope big enough for you to keep going? But what if those ordinary businesses, the price increase cycle to 6 months? It's continuity. That's my respect. It has to be higher. It's not that I'm more ostentatious. I find that usually we go backwards. The higher the price, the higher I go, the more I buy. It's not time to buy a lot. I feel like I'm going backwards. It was when I first entered the market. I also operate under such a mechanism. But then in the cycles it breaks down. The first thing I see is the second is buy high in a small price increase. The higher it goes, the riskier it has a price tag. 1 share. Sometimes they don't know the price. The price is clear. The first price. The second price is management. On the 3rd floor, management is much tighter. Means that up there, I like to be greedy. Just still wants to show that, yeah, I'm chasing the stock too. It's called hope. But the participation rate, 3rd base, it's got to be very low. It means that if it turns to very careful, 30% is not much to lose. Thank you for donating. Today's sharing was very valuable. On the subject of property, if you will allow me to donate, it can be properties you can invest long-term, and that's what capital management is about. How should we go for safety? You said from the first clip that the investment was right. First you have to choose the property. Patience and discipline followed by regular distribution. You have to find the right property. That's the first thing. That's the property. Let me find out now. It's not too difficult. Learn by CBT chat. I find out, specifically with the property, the future of property, the trend of the property. Is it appropriate in the future? For example, it evolves, whether young people like it or not. Suitable for the life of young people or not. And then that trend continues to be harmonious and you understand the benefits of all the components involved. Participate in the property. Does it create something called game theory? Does that mean game theory? Game theory means that when an organization or a large institution that's been involved in, it's an investment product. The other institutions, it's impossible not to follow if it works. Because if people can follow, then people. I knew there was a guide. Especially in psychology, it means they see a big guy leading the way. So, what's the risk? People also have a reason to argue when not following, but the big man's result is great. As the administrator, or the fund, people, it's going to be hard to talk to shareholders. The essence of that is game theory. This means that, when the US accepts Bitcoin as other countries must also accept it in turn, for the benefit of his national tree, because the big man went ahead. I believe that before and after Bitcoin, it will also be very accepted by governments. Tighter management, it's a source of tax revenue for governments. That's your personal opinion. Listen to your brothers when you listen. It is absolutely, we have to use very common tools, like this Google Chat to find out. It's a fixed asset like Bitcoin, gold, or a stock company. I really understand. Then I invested and allocate a reasonable amount of capital for your future hopes. Right. That's right. The property has hope for the future, and it's very resilient. But if you don't know how to manage, then the market volatility, it will also cost you all your money. It's a matter of course. The more volatile any asset is, the more opportunities. But it's for people who don't know how to manage that poor psychological endurance. It's going to get knocked out of the game. I thank you for donating. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you.